like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't. What's the matter?
I was just gonna say, Paul was playing Making Whoopee. It was lovely, guys. You missed it. You missed it. I was trying to get in early enough to catch him playing some Whoopee. But we have a winner today, Paul. We have a winner on the coffee cup. What are we calling this? The coffee cup connection? I don't know.
There should be a clever.
Yeah, we have to come up with a clever name for it.
We're making this shit up as we go along, so we have no.
Right, clever.
It's not like,
yeah. So,
nothing
Amy,
clever about it.
you won. You won one of Paul's coffee cups.
Let's call it the knucklehead pole.
You win the. That's not very flattering. The knucklehead pole.
We're the knuckleheads.
Oh,
we
gotcha.
start
Right.
late.
Yes, you're right.
You know, Mikey, we have a problem of making jokes and then people getting mad at us because they think we're making fun of them.
Is that my problem?
No, I think I might just have a shitty sense of humor. Maybe
No, I don't think so.
maybe that mean spiritedness used to come out as anger when I was young has now melted down into a humor that pokes and prods. That's no better, though, really.
I think most
Now I gotta
people
go
are
back
just
to-
too damn sensitive these days. That's what I think. We were kind of just talking about that, dang it. People are crazy. People are
Well,
nuts.
the times they are a-changing, man.
Apparently. And it used to be, the older people that were the problem. And maybe it's us, because now we're the older people. Maybe that's
We are
all
the
it
older
is.
people. We are the fucking problem now, dude.
Must be.
I'm more of a problem than you are.
I don't know.
Because I'm older than you.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. But
But
you're not even
man,
Gen
I
X,
don't-
right? You're like Gen before X.
Oh, God, no, I'm a baby boomer. I was born in 1959.
That's what I'm saying. You're a
yeah.
baby boomer, right? I'm Gen X. You're a baby
Absolutely.
boomer. Yeah.
Late stage baby boomer, the worst kind.
The worst kind. You were on the cusp. You.
Yeah, because we don't like the older baby boomers, and we don't like the Gen X kids.
Gen X kids, yeah.
We don't want to be any member of a club that would have a guy like me as a member.
What does that sound?
That's an airplane going by outside my window.
That is crazy. Wow.
Well, there's these small private planes for some reason. I don't know where. There must be an air base somewhere near my house, but those little dudes fly low.
Yeah, and fast, right? And I've been noticing more of them these
I don't
days.
like. I'm not for it. I'm not
What are
for
you
it.
guys up to, man? These guys are meow, and then shaking the house and shit. I'm like, what are you guys
Well,
up
that's
to?
jets. You're talking about the people coming from the naval base on the West Bank.
I guess. I don't know. All I know is
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing all of those damn.
Oh, it was 4th of July yesterday,
It was.
our nation's Independence Day, and I was reminded of, I guess it's like 4 years ago now. This friend of mine is a fantastic blues singer, rock singer. She can sing like Janis. I don't say that about many people, but this chick can wail, man. She's the real deal. She's the goods. Her name's Leanne Binder, and she's from Ohio, of all places.
Uh-huh.
So she invites me to come and play a gig with her in Ohio that she does every year. Big fireworks, guy's private land. He had a big, beautiful house. He had tons of land. And he puts on a big display. It was really great fun, great gig. And they were a great bunch of people to, get drunk with and, celebrate the 4th. So the next day you had to wake up early because there's going to be the annual 4th of July parade in Canfield, Ohio, which is the nearest town to where she lives. She's kind of on the outskirts, farm country, horse country. So we go to her friend Lisa's place for the morning party, which I'm totally typical. I'm fine with that. That's a Mardi Gras thing. There's a parade. You go at 8 o'clock to somebody's house. You get a little nosh. You have a couple of mimosas, and you go out and you watch the parade. So we do that. A couple of mimosas, nosh, and everybody fills the third one. And I thought, third mimosa this early in the morning. I'll just wait till I get out to the parade route. It was only 3 blocks away, 4 blocks away, whatever it was. And we get out there, and it's very small town America and really cute with the old guys in uniforms and chicks in bikinis riding Jeeps with machine guns. It's really bizarre, out there David Lynch shit, but right there. And I go, hey, by the way, guys, where can I get a mimosa? And they all looked at each other and busted out laughing. They said, back at Lisa's house. It's a dry county. It's a dry town and a dry county.
No shit.
You can't even buy it. I was like, wait, there's not going to be booths set up, at the parade? She goes, yeah, plenty of booths. You can buy lemonade and stuff to eat, but no, you can't buy alcohol in the streets. And I of course, was dumbfounded and a bit angry about it. And then kicking myself in the ass for not pouring that third mimosa when they were all leaving, which
Yeah.
they didn't drink on the way there. They just held and waited till they got there, and then they had a drink at the parade.
And nobody warned you and
Oops.
said, "Hey, man, you might want to make a drink now because it's a dry
I might
county."
have blown some shit for them just now.
Hey, look,
Well, the parade was just,
my mom gave me a new cup for Christmas.
oh,
Not Christmas, my
snap.
birthday. Yeah. She said I used to say that
When
all
was
the
your
time.
birthday?
June 15th, remember it was a couple weeks back. Anyway, I just finally saw her.
Did I wish you a happy birthday?
I think so. We did a birthday
Yeah.
show, I think.
Let's just say we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether we did or not. But
It's
she
so much
got me
less awkward.
this
Yeah,
cup, and
appreciate that.
it look how big it is. This goddamn thing, you can put popcorn in it. It's huge. I love it.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Put
You love your
popcorn in it.
coffee. And
Uh,
you're a big guy.
I know. I need a big coffee so that I can have to go to the potty by the
Right.
time the end of the show comes. I'm running to the restroom. Um, so you know something that's funny last week, making stuff up as you go along. That's right, we are. Um, me and Luis talked for a little while after you, and for some reason, YouTube decided to turn on. Let's just start putting something together, and all of a sudden, Luis calls me later that night and goes, "Hey man, did you know that it put our little conversation afterwards on?" I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." So I mean, it was
That could be a whole new aspect to the show. You know,
right. That
the
he
post
was.
show.
We were talking about the actual video, so it was pretty boring, and I don't think anybody. There were 7 views. Who
Well,
knows?
that's why
Somebody
I
might have
walked
watched
away.
it.
It was boring. It
Yeah,
was incredibly dull.
it was
Now we're
dull.
talking tech
Yeah, you
talk.
were gone. There was
Yeah.
just a picture of you up there. You were
Yeah,
long
I
gone.
was gone. Then once
Yeah.
y'all got into tech talk, I was like, well, I had a contractor here
Ah,
laying
yeah.
down some molding. So he had just walked in. He's an old friend, and he just walked in the house as the show was ending. So as soon as I could, I ducked out and went to go and help
That was
him
all good.
bring stuff in.
Luis was giving me his criticisms, so that's basically what that little excerpt was him giving me his criticisms.
Now, how much plot do you have made up for this thing?
I only have I have a story set up. I have for the moment I have the overall setup, and so the little scenes that I'm creating, I'm hoping to kind of keep aiming in that sort of direction with them, and the scenes sort of come to me like songs do. You know, they're going to kind of be like songs. They don't have to necessarily all be connected right now, because the main reason of them is for me to have a lookbook. You know, that's the main reason. But while I'm doing it, I'm like going, well, let me try to create some scenes while I'm doing it, practice that a little bit. I saw my sister yesterday, Tanya from California, that model actress, and she wants to be in something. And it just turns out that the scene that I started working on probably be good for her. My daughter's going to be in it, so all of a sudden, you know, I've got some little actresses who
Well, you
want
got,
to.
you know,
And of course,
you're smart enough to cast
Dylan.
people you don't have to pay.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
that's
Yes.
I think as a director, that's probably your smartest move so far on your first film.
Especially I have such
Cast people.
talent. I had you. I have my sisters. It's crazy. I got incredible talent. Yeah, Freddie goes, submit your questions for the after a cup of coffee talk. So we'll have the follow-up show, which is after the cup of coffee.
And the
Sadly,
bathroom.
yeah, I was just going to say, sadly, what usually follows the cup of coffee is not necessarily pleasant most days.
Well, let's not go there
Yeah,
now. And
yeah. It's,
we've already debased ourselves enough on this show.
so my wife last night, she went and watched the fireworks on the roof of Oshner. Apparently, it's a place that people like to go hang out and watch the fireworks at.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
I could see him pretty well from my backyard, so it was kind of nice. I was actually in my sister-in-law's backyard, and there was a big giant somewhere in the nearby fireworks display, which was fine. It was right over the pool area, which
I
worked
was
out
watching
well.
a behind the scenes with what's his name? What did I say his name was that I was watching over the weekend? Fincher. Fincher. I was watching some behind the scenes with David Fincher.
And now you're investigating directors.
Oh, I've been doing that for a long time, but it's fun to
I
keep
like this
going
one.
back. And
This is going to be a good new thing for you.
you know who Roger Deakins is?
God, no.
No, he's a cinematographer. Probably worked on some of your favorite movies of all time.
Probably so.
And he's magic with light. Like his thing is, he's been around forever. He's just as chill as he can be. The other thing I looked into was now you can buy the setups for the Steadicams for just a couple $100. It's crazy. Like
You know,
those,
it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. This has been a revelatory moment because I have not been able to sing regularly for 3 years. I've done 3 shows in the last 3 years, and they weren't very good. Uh, and been wondering what else I could do. When I first lost my voice completely, I tried writing a book. I got bored with my own stories, and I thought, well, surely if I'm bored, then they're going to be bored too. And been thinking about different things. And here you are diving into this, and it sounds wonderful and interesting. And I hope you do it because you're good at stuff like that, and it's a whole new thing. But it reminds me, oh, I already know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be singing and writing songs, and I've now got a voice teacher, who can help me find my way back to
That's right.
singing, and that'll help me write songs again. I'll get back to doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's right. Well, we have a gig, by the way. Well, it's not really beaten path because Skeet's not coming down, but me, Craig, and Eddie are going to be playing August 21st. It looks like over at Eric's Bar. So,
If my voice has returned by August, I will be up in the Midwest.
oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going up. Alex McMurray has some gigs up there with his band, and has been kind enough to ask me to come up and be a special featured guest at a few
Nice.
shows.
Are we going to
In
try to do our little morning show from the road? Or are you
Why
going to have to take
not?
a week off?
I
I
mean,
think
if
we
we're
could do
still
it.
doing, I mean, let's face it. So at some point, when even the 10 listeners we have stop tuning in, we can
Right.
just call each other
Right.
and say,
Hey, how
"You
you
have to
doing?
go."
What you been up to?
That's great. You can even do FaceTime if you like. You know?
But yeah, say our 10 listeners are still listening in August, then you can always do it from the road. You can do it from anywhere, obviously, as long as you got
Yeah,
internet.
that's why the
Yeah,
modern technology
we
is the
love
internet.
modern technology, don't we? Don't we?
Yeah, it makes things easier
It
in a
does.
lot of ways.
Well, I was thinking that
In a lot
scene
of
that
ways,
I put out on
yeah.
Friday. It looks as good as things that were shot for movies 10 years ago, and I'm on doing it on my computer.
Well,
It's like
it
10 years
goes back
ago.
to
You
I
know,
know it goes back to the conversation we had about what digital did. Like the things the Beatles did are monumental because they did it on an 8-track
right,
machine, which they had
right.
to loop into 16 tracks and whatever. And so making music, I know a lot of old
It
time
affected music
audiophiles.
first. You're right. I mean, music got the
It did
benefits
in a
of this.
huge way.
Right.
And the argument for years with audiophiles is that tape is warmer. And that is probably true. But the thing that happens in the actual making of a record, especially now, and at the time this argument was going on, and I'd explain this to these guys. Okay, let's say we spend the extra money and we do this on 2-inch tape the old-fashioned way, and then what do? We mix it down to a 1-inch tape, and then what do we do with that? They take it and digitize it. So everything you're doing is going to be simulated by a computer.
At some
So
point.
why not work with the digital sound and have it simulate the warmth of the 2-inch tape in as much as it can, because the speed of it is absurd.
Yes.
Working in digital, for me, who likes to make records fast and likes to work fast and spontaneously, it was, heaven sent.
Right. Right.
Especially when a player goes, I made a mistake, and my answer is awesome. I love that mistake. I'm going to fucking turn that mistake up, all the way up.
Y-
That's
you
going to
know,
be like a hook in the song
right.
now.
That's my mistake. I love
People are
it.
going to be looking for that. That's an awesome mistake.
I was one of the behind the scenes they were talking about. I don't know if you ever saw The Social Network, but that's one of David Fincher's.
Yeah, I
Him
saw
and,
it. Saw it.
and Aaron, who's the writer of that? Sorkin. Sorkin wrote it,
Working,
and
yeah.
Fincher directed it. Anyway, long story. When they're doing that scene with in the conference room, the deposition scenes or whatever. They spent weeks in there doing those scenes, but he was talking about the fact that between takes, like in the old days, you could only get about 2 takes in, and then you had to change the reels and everything like that,
Yeah,
and so they'd
yeah,
get like a
yeah.
15-20 minute break. But nowadays on digital, which reminded me of being a musician, like you were saying, you don't have to change reels, because even back then you could only run 15 minutes on one reel, then you had to jump on another reel. So
The one I see. I like the convenience of it, but there's something about the convenience of it that has led to a little bit of dilettantism. You know, I saw this in an interview with Leo DiCaprio, and he's a young fella. He's in his 40s, but he was talking about the younger generation. Like he said, when I was coming up, you had to know Citizen Kane. You had to know the classic films and the directors. You couldn't just go into a Hollywood party and not know these things. You had to know the
right,
history of. And he said the kids today don't know and don't care.
Right.
Now, if they stumble on it and it inspires them, if they stumble on the internet and it inspires them, then yeah, it'll process into their computers. But as far as chronologically studying the history of music or cinema or anything, it's not in their purview. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't learn that way. They don't turn the pages. They just hit a button and things appear and they digested it in a computer. And I'm not judging it. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
It's
like
just a different
uh,
way of.
maybe a world of people who don't care about he and she or black or white and the this music or that music would be a more peaceful world. How the hell do I know? You
Right.
know?
Right. I just hope that they don't start trying to do what the old religious conservatives used to do back in the 90s and 80s, where they try to. It seems to me like they have a. We talked about this earlier. They seem to have a need to whitewash everything, and it's like, calm down, guys. It's okay. We don't need the thought police. We actually had a name for what you guys are trying to do right now. It's called thought police. So please stop. You know, please stop.
Well,
And maybe that comes from not reading history and not knowing where, like you said, not where knowing where things came from, where the things are headed to, thinking that they're living life just started 20 years ago, and this is where we
well,
are.
every generation believes that.
You're
I know
probably
I
right.
believed it. I know you believed it.
Right.
You know, when you're 20 and in your 20s, you're experiencing things fully as an adult for the first time. And because you no longer feel like a child, you're thinking, this is new.
Right.
And it goes so deep into your soul that you go, this is newer than anybody has ever felt. This love I feel for this woman is not like anybody else's love. They think they have great love. This is love. This inspiration I got from this song or this mountain or this poem or this girl, whatever it was, nobody's ever felt it. Nobody's ever been as big a loser. Nobody's ever been had more potential to be a hero. The world is about you. And
You're
that's
right.
one of the great things about being in their 20s. And when I hear young people making fun of me for being older, I was talking about how they know more than I just smile and say, great, man, that's how you're supposed to be talking.
You're right. You're right in some ways. I just don't want them to inflict on me. My goodness, kids, calm
Oh, they
down.
won't have any impact on your life.
Probably. You're probably right about that. Probably.
It's not like they're going to want to work with you. People
This is
your age are
true.
going to want to work with you.
You're right.
They're going to want to work with some young engineer who speaks their languages and presses buttons in a different way I don't know from.
Yeah. It was funny. I was looking at when we talked about Alien the other day, right? Did you notice? Did you watch it over the weekend, by the way? No. Yeah. Maybe so.
Yeah, that did not fly with Allison.
I understand. But
I suggested it, and she said that's the one where the thing comes out of the guy's stomach in space. Because
right.
no, we're not.
She's like, yeah, that's not me. But the cast in that movie, like they were all in their
Great guy.
40s, you know?
Hmm.
And like
Yeah,
if
Garrett.
if that movie were remade and rebooted today, it'd be a bunch of 20 somethings
Oh,
that look
right. It was twenty
so handsome
somethings.
and beautiful, and
Right.
even it comes down to that, the authenticness of these people. It's like
They weren't in their 40s. The cast was in their
no, they
30s,
were in their
except
40s because I just watched the thing. I mean, those
they
what's his
were,
name?
Winnie Weaver
Yes.
was in her
No,
40s.
she's young. The two girls were 30, but all the male
And Tom
characters were in
Garrett,
their. Scarrett was 40.
really?
Yeah, I just watched the
Hey,
damn
I'm
making
going to
of. Yeah,
I'm going to research shit and call
you
you
should
out on
check
it.
it out. Yeah, I mean John Hurt is in it, and by the
Yeah,
way,
he's a
that
great actor.
the black guy actor, I forgot his name because it's kind of
Yefet Kodo.
yes, Kodo. He just died recently, right? A year ago, 2 years ago, or he just died recently. It
He had
wasn't
a
that long.
fantastic story that I read a few months ago. Might have been when he died. But he was making one of his first movies back in the 60s with Robert Mitchum.
Oh
And the
wow,
director had the movie in the back lot of the studio, but he wanted to finish the shooting in Mexico on location so he could get the proper feel. And the entire crew was being flown down to Mexico to be taken to the city. Robert Mitchum, the star, decides he wants to drive himself down there. And he invites Yafet Kodo to come along. He's a young actor. And he said, I was a young actor. It was my first film. Of course, I jumped in. And he said, about 3 hours into the drive, they're passing through a little Mexican town. And he could see there was an American car stopped at the hotel. And he was curious. And he walked into the hotel and he said, what's going on? And said a guy had pulled in with his wife who was having a baby upstairs. And the baby, there was some complications, and both the baby and the mom were at risk of dying. And he walked up, and the doctors told him there was nothing he could do, and people were crying. And he said that Robert Mitchum's just boomed out, "What are you people crying for?" And he slapped his hands together and said, "This woman's going to be fine. She is going to wake up." And he reached down to her and he touched her and he said, "Woman, you're okay. Just wake up and let these people know you're okay." And she opened her eyes and she said, "Where am I?" And he walked out of the room.
Oh
He
my
said, "Let's get a
God.
drink, kid."
Wow. Wow. So see, Mitchum was magic.
And
Um,
he also said that Mitchum was regaling him with stories of, and he was like playing all the parts as he's telling him these stories about this old man. And he said he was such a great actor. He said, I said to him, "You have all these different characters in you. You're such a great actor. You never get to see this on film." And he said, "You kidding me? Anytime I try to really act, the studio executives come down the set and they say, 'We want to see old sleepy eyes.'"
that's funny. Jesse Eichhardt, when we were watching the Social Network stuff, because Fincher's like known for doing tons of takes, right? He's a perfectionist. He does easily you can easily do 100 takes with the fucking guy, right? So, but long story short, Jesse said the ones that he liked were the ones where he didn't get any feeling from what he did, like the ones where he felt like he really did something and connected. If Fincher would be like, "Yeah, no, no, watch the eyeliner, watch what you're doing with your eyebrow and that or whatever," he'd have some critique for him. So he said during the whole movie, it was really bizarre for him because he didn't know how good a job he was doing because the only takes that Fincher seemed to like were the ones that he didn't feel connected to,
Hmm,
and which was
funny.
kind of. By the way, I think by the way his performance in that movie is excellent. I don't know if you ever saw it, but I've seen it a
I
few
saw it when it
times.
first came out. I'd have to see it again to really discuss it intelligently.
It's a great movie. Yeah, I thought. Just Sorkin. I love Sorkin's. His dialogue is always so quick, man,
His,
and
his
just
writing is great, man. Yeah.
and you get all the ideas across. I want to see the one we talked about a while back. I still haven't taken the time to watch it. The one about the courtroom that was on Netflix, or the court case from the '60s. The people that got
Oh, the Chicago Eight.
the Chicago Eight. Yes, and that's one of his
That was.
ones that he
Did he
directed.
write that?
He wrote and
Did he
directed it.
write?
Yeah,
Oh wow, it was really terrific.
yeah. I need to
You know,
check. By the way, at the end of the movie, they were saying that because Sorkin was on set the whole time and Fincher left early, and he said he told him that day, he goes, "Look, I got to get out of here at so and so. You're going to film the last scene. We have 3 scenes to do today. You'll do the last scene." And he thought he was kidding. Long story short, he wasn't kidding. He left and left him for the last scene, and so he did 2 takes, and he said, "That's great. Well, And he said the AD came over to him and said, "You got to shoot more. If I give him 2 takes, he's going to kill me. You got to shoot more takes." So he said he shot 3 more takes, exactly like the ones they just did. So there you go, 5 takes. Take them. And
yeah,
I just thought
yeah.
that was kind of funny. Yeah, the guy knows knows who he's working with. All you got was two
You
takes. What the
know,
hell?
when I worked on Miller's Crossing, the Coen Brothers movie in 1989, they were still using what they call storyboards, which were giant
Yeah, oh,
poster
they still
boards.
use them now, right?
Well, the more often than not, it's on computer.
Yeah, you're
They don't
right.
really
There's a lot of previs
like
on computer, right?
my first day on set. I walked into a room in the warehouse where the entire movie had been laid out in a series of storyboards that snake through the rooms and were sitting on, upright on platforms so you could look at it. And you could walk through this room and see the movie you were about to make, and it was pretty incredible. And they never, or not often, if they ever did, I didn't know them that intimately. I was watching on set as they did, but they stuck to that plan.
But yeah,
This is what we wrote, and this is what it's supposed to look like. Like everybody, all the set dressers, everybody on the crew knew because they could just walk in the room and know what the directors were expecting that scene and that camera shot to look like.
right.
And that kind of precision is, first of all, it's very cost efficient to know what you're doing. And they didn't need a ton of takes usually because they knew the shot in their mind. Everybody else knew the shot that they had in mind, and they generally gave it to them.
Right.
But some people just start shooting. They just shoot from this angle and that angle in 15 takes so that they can get what they call coverage.
Right.
And they get enough coverage and they give it to a talented editor and they turn it into a cohesive film. And, you know,
By the way,
those,
Fincher's against coverage. The reason that he does so many takes is because he wants the actors to start not thinking about it. He wants them to start doing it so many times that at some point
well,
they lose themselves inside
he
of it.
clearly wanted Jesse Eisenberg to have a disconnected feel to his character.
Right.
If it was something wherein the actor noticed he always chose the scenes I was least connected to. I think the point of that was the guy who started Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, was a little disconnected from people, which is why he
Right.
started Facebook.
Right.
Remains so in many ways, you
Yes.
know.
No, in fact, that was one of the points Sorkin was sort of making too with the movie is just, the way that he dealt with society is really emblematic of Facebook itself. It's a hands-off
Right.
approach to society, it's very impersonal while pretending to be personal kind of almost. It is
Yeah.
an interesting concept. Sorkin hit on to some things that you go, "Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay, I never really looked at it that deep, but Sorkin is
I
kind of a
just realized
genius."
we were having such a busy conversation pre-show. I didn't do the live announcement on
No,
Facebook,
you didn't.
so we're probably missing like two listeners that we would normally have.
Maybe. We got. It seems like we're close to our normal input.
Yeah, but that might have cost us two whole, faces,
Oh, by the way, Freddie, we're playing at Crossroads, which is Eric Orlando's one of his new places. He used to. I don't know. You might know him, but he used to own Carrollton Station, and now he's got a little bar in Jefferson. And I don't know if they still smoke there, but it used to be the people who would smoke there, and we did have some fans that were like, "Dude, what is up with this smoking bar?" I'm like,
And that
God.
was tough.
Oh, you
Yeah,
went? Yeah, that's right. You went. It was a smoking
I
bar.
saw y'all there. I think I even sang with y'all there.
You did sing with us there. That's right. I don't think that. I don't know if they're smoking there still. I don't think he could stop them from smoking because his regulars were a bunch of smokers. And
Well, I think at the time it hadn't been outlawed in Jefferson. I think it might have been since then. I'm not sure, to be
gotcha.
honest.
Yeah, me either.
I
COVID
don't.
kind of. I don't know what the
Well,
hell's going on.
well, I don't go. I don't. Yeah, even without COVID, I don't really go to bars in Jefferson.
Right, right. It's not your prime destination. You mean you don't go to Fat City? Come on. Does Fat
Is there
City
still
still
a Fat
exist?
City?
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Is there still?
Anybody know if Fat City's still open?
For those of you who don't know from other parts of the country, Fat City was a spot in Metairie, the suburb of New Orleans, that tried to compete with the French Quarter for like bright lights, big city feel, and it was, a few nightclubs, a few places to see bands. It was where kids in Metairie could go to party, to be honest, instead of going to the French Quarter.
Did you
I
see
don't know
what
if it existed.
Did you see what Lou
What's that?
just said? Did you see what Lou just
What?
said? He goes, "It's a vacation day. I wasn't expecting you guys to be on." And my first thought was, you got to have a job to know there's a vacation. I mean, how can you know it's a vacation day if you don't have a job? Am I right?
Yeah,
It's like
that's true.
I
That's
never
true.
know when the damn bank's going to be closed because I don't have a normal job. I'll be heading to the bank and somebody will be like, "Yeah, it's not open today," and I'm like, "Why?"
Well,
Some
how would you be
vacation.
going to the bank?
I'm not going to the bank today, but you know what I'm saying. They close on every
You,
freaking
do you,
holiday.
you don't deposit by,
You're right, I
phone?
do. You're right, I do these days because my bank is in Tennessee anyway. So what am I
Well,
going
it's
to do?
easier. Even if your bank was, 10 blocks away, it'd still be easier.
This is true. This is true. I just refuse to. All they have here in Louisiana are all these big banks. I mean, I guess there are small banks now that I think about it, but like Gulf, is Gulf Coast Bank still around or whatever? I just don't like the
I
big
don't
banks. I don't like Chase. I don't mess with those people. Those people can go to hell.
Well, that's a strong feeling about banks, man.
No, it's about particular financial institutions, in
Hmm.
particular,
I
the
won't
big
deny
ones.
you those feelings.
Bank of America, Bank of
I'm with
America.
Chase because they were convenient for when I was touring.
I understand.
You know,
That makes
you could
sense.
find Chase in any city in America.
They didn't have them
And
in Tennessee for a long time. I think they might be there now, but for a long time, Tennessee was one of the few places where you couldn't. Steamboat
I
Lounge.
have to
What's the
say,
Steamboat
for a
Lounge?
long time, Tennessee was not one of the places that welcomed me and my songs.
Even Nashville, right?
Even Nashville. Well, I had weird experiences in Nashville, and Jim McCormick, or Mr. McCormick as we normally call him,
Mr. McCormick, come on.
we've talked about this, and I have to say, Jim's such a nice guy.
Mr.
When he heard the
McCormick is such a
story,
nice.
when, when he heard me tell the story, his face got really sad, and he said, "I'm really sad for you, man, because that's not the Nashville I know, and I wish you'd have met the other Nashville." But the Nashville I met when I was 26, and a friend got me a meeting there, and the Nashville I met in 2005 after Katrina, when they were all reaching out to try and help people from New Orleans, so we all in Cowboy Mouth got publishing meetings. The message didn't change. The first thing they tell you when you sit down is Nashville's a clicky town. You're going to have to live here for 5 or 6 years before you ever get a track on somebody's record, and that's if you get a track. Yes, I know, it's a tricky town. And there was a radio playing, right? And by now it's after Katrina, and the guy interviewing me is probably in his 30s. I'm in my 40s. And he looks at the radio and he points with his hand and goes, "You see, another thing is I don't want you bringing anything fresh or original in here. What I'm hearing on that radio, that's what I want you bringing in here."
Wow.
And I kept smiling, but I was thinking to myself, oh, so that's why country music turned to shit. I used to love country music when I was young. Now I understand. And so naturally, it never happened for me, like, because I wasn't interested in that thought process as a way of writing songs. I was writing songs as a way of trying to find out who I was so I could escape a past and live in a future. And that didn't play into it. Jim had a different experience and it worked out well for him, and I'm happy. But Nashville took a long time to go, hey, that guy's a pretty good writer. So later in life, just before the pandemic, in fact, my friend Christine Wilkinson Hughes got me a gig at the Bluebird Cafe, which is one of my dream places to play. And my friend Mark Bryan had gotten me a gig there around the same time as the Flood, or just after. I don't remember exactly when. But so I'd always dreamed of playing sold out shows there. And I played two of them, in songwriter circles. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's my best Nashville. But
Well, Skeet was trying to get our stuff. Like for a while, he was meeting up with Jim, and he was going up to Nashville, and he was trying to get, he was passing our songs out to these people to see what they thought about them. And generally, he said, mostly they really liked it, but the types of critiques that they had about the songs were, like you said, they were the types of critiques that didn't really, to me, connect with the idea that the song was even trying to convey. It was more. It seemed like they just wanted to fill it full of little catchphrases that were hip at the moment, or follow what somebody else was doing and figure out a way to make it like something else. And so he would come to me with this criticism, and I'm like, Skeet, I'm not even interested in doing
right,
that.
right. It's like that's not what we're doing here.
Right.
I over the last several years, I've had some people in New York trying to help turn Nine Lives into a theatrical production, and I guess it was 2 years ago, they set me up with a meeting with a director who has a play company in another city, and he's got a good reputation and the whole thing. And we're going to put you guys on a phone conference and just see if it works. And I said, I'm Paul, and he said, I'm blah, blah. And I said, you know, he goes, what I want to do is I want to find a way that we can turn Nine Lives into something that's more typical theater so that we can get the public theater or a big name theater to take it. And I said, really? Because what I was thinking is that we would find it a way to keep it original, which it is now, and we would call it art, and people would dig it because it was art. And needless to say, that guy and I never worked together. But they do want to fit it into a predetermined frame, whether it's a song style or a play or whatever the fuck. And that's not art, man.
No,
and
the thing that's more interesting about that to me is that generally the stuff you remember, the stuff that lasts, is always the art stuff that broke new ground. That's always the stuff that, 10 years later, it's like that's the stuff you talk about is the stuff that at the time they were like, oh no, that's not going to fly. We don't know what to do with that. But then once it does find its way.
To me, Hamilton gives a finger to that entire thought process.
And even so, the funny thing is that you have I guarantee you have a bunch of producers up there that are trying to figure out a way to copy that exact idea, just change it just enough. Let's change topics, we'll change settings, and do the same effing thing. And it's like, guys, you're missing the point of why this was even popular to begin with.
Over the years, this is how Nine Lives has evolved. Over the years, the first conversation was, there's this young guy who's just had success with an amazing show in the Heights. We're going to try and get him interested, and we'll try and do it like they did in the Heights in the street. And I'm like, that sounds good. That young guy was Lin-Manuel.
Oh, wow.
And he turned us down because he had a new project he was working on that he had to spend his time on. It was called Hamilton.
And he was obviously interested in that. He has already dedicated, and you can only really put your focus on one.
Then There Lies Love, a David Byrne musical, which I saw, and that's what we should be, was the thought process. And then the Titanic musical, that's what we should be, was the thought process. And I reflected back on being in Cowboy Mouth. Our first couple of records were on indie labels, and we picked whatever was most popular with the audience. But we got signed to a major, and the first record was Hootie and the Blowfish were big. They were selling 20 million records. So how can we make Cowboy Mouth sound like Hootie? Well, the answer is we can't. We can make them sound like a lamer version of Cowboy Mouth, but we can't make them sound like a fun version of Hootie. The next time we did a record, it was Mercyland, and the Blues Traveler were big. And it was, how do we make this a little darker, a little bit more rock, a little bit more like Blues Traveler or Sister Hazel, whatever the record was we were trying to make. And I remember we got to uh, the record on Atlantic. What was it called? Easy. And it was, the Bare Naked Ladies were big. And I was so sick of labels telling us we had to make a record that sounded like somebody that on the song Griffin and I wrote, Everybody Loves Jill, I threw it in a harmony, woo hoo hoo, which is from the Bare Naked Ladies song, It's All Been Done. Woo hoo hoo,
By the way, it's still a hook, right?
What? And they got it from a Beatles song.
Right, of
But I
course.
was like, I was so done with the whole, let's make it sound like them. I said, let's make it sound just like. Here's a harmony from a Bare Naked Ladies record. There, did you like that? They did.
And they did, of course. They pushed that
Sure.
song. I mean, the same thing happens in movies, right? You have these executives who don't have an artistic bone in their body that are trying to figure out a way to quantify how much money they can make off of something that isn't even finished yet, right? They're looking at
Yeah.
other numbers, other things, and trying to figure out a way to put a value on the art that you're creating when you don't even know what you have. I mean, they obviously don't understand art at all, most of them.
It's apples and onions. They're running business, you're running art, and it's apples and onions.
Yeah, they don't get
And
that.
the best filmmakers learn how to work around that
Yeah,
and turn into the power that gets to say how shit gets done.
right.
You know,
Right. And I
and
mean, Fincher didn't have a ton of huge money making films. He's got a bunch of great movies that everybody, notices and goes, wow, that's just an amazing movie. But I'm
yeah,
not sure all of them made a ton of money. But, he was talking about that, your job as a director is constantly convincing somebody that your idea is good. Like he says, it's constant. From the crew to the marketing people to you're
because everybody
constantly,
wants to tell you how to do it. You know,
and you're constantly
and,
trying
and
to,
the thing
you
is,
gotta,
like, yeah, we can do it all kinds of ways. We're going to do it this way.
right.
You know,
And as an artist, you
just
really have to have a vision and be true to your vision. Because if you don't, the audience knows this. They know if you're some cheap knockoff of something else, and they're not going to be interested. It's so funny. It's like, guys.
well. Plus, it's like, well, especially when things are in the forming process. Everybody has an opinion on what the final product should be. I remember when I was making Nine Lives, I had a song which had a completed vocal on it, and I had hired a musician to come and play an instrumental part for some ambiance. And he was a musician I'd known for years and I loved. Nine Lives was on a tight schedule. I had a lot of musicians coming through, for one. And for another, this was just an unusual moment. The guy comes in to play an instrumental, and the first words out of his mouth were, I don't think the singer got it right on this take, and I think I should sing it. I should do the lead vocal. And I was like, well, that wasn't a demo I sent you. That was a finished track. And he goes, yeah, I'm aware it was a finished track, or at least you thought it was. But I don't think the singer really captured the moment or the emotion, and I think I can do a better job. So I think we should start with that before we get to the instrumental. And I went, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your input and that you would give that much thought into the record we're making. Unfortunately, we're on a bit of a schedule, and I have somebody coming in like 45 minutes to play another part. So if we could just get you set up and play the part I had you hired for. And he went, okay, but I think you're making a mistake.
Oh my gosh. I'm not even going to ask
So
who
you
it
just
is, but
gotta,
it's so funny.
well, you got to be nice,
Of
and you got to
course.
let. Now, there's times when I'm all about, if it was a solo record and somebody came up and said, I got an idea for this, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. That's how I
Right.
am. But on Nine Lives, first of all, Matt Perrine had done most of the arrangements, and he's very exacting in what he wanted. And so we were very scheduled. We were running players in and out like it was incredible. It was a frenzy on days. It was wonderful. And this was one of those days. There was somebody following him. So I couldn't have done it even if I wanted to.
Right.
But it was just,
Right.
it
Well,
was
it's cute, the audacity too, to be like, yeah, whoever you had singing this, I don't think they quite captured what you. I can't imagine myself. I don't know. Maybe I could. Younger, I might have said something. It would have been, but it would have. I don't know.
hey man, who knows what the fuck I said when I was younger? I was such
I
a,
know.
a fearful, angry guy.
I do know that I tried to be honest with people when they would ask me questions, and it got me in trouble sometimes.
Yeah,
Because
that's not good.
but
When people say they want your honest opinion, what they're saying is, I need a stroke right now, and you need to tell me it's good.
Right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But I felt like my job, since I was sort of, since I was sort of a creator myself, I felt like if they were asking for input, maybe I should give them some honest input. But you're right.
I
That's
always
not what they wanted.
appreciated, I always appreciated your honest input, but people very rarely want complete honesty. They
There's,
like honesty with
the
just a
band still busts my
spoonful of
balls about
sugar
it.
helps medicine go down.
Right.
Medicine go down.
The band still busts my balls about. We were playing St. Louis at some point, and we were playing this sort of New Orleansy type restaurant in St. Louis, and the guy was obviously proud of his he fed us and all this stuff, and I forgot what it was. He brought out something. Maybe it was some jambalaya or something. Some real New Orleans dish, and he wanted me to try it. Like, you got to try this. It's the best stuff ever.
Awkward moment.
And so he fed it to me, and he comes up and he goes, how is it? And I was like, it's good. I like it. And he goes, really? And I'm like, it's not the best I've ever had, but it's good. Oh my God. The guys just all looked at me like, Mike, what are you doing? The guy was he was asking me what I thought about his damn jambalaya. And I told him.
I can't have him serving this to people saying, Mike May, you said it was good.
Right. That this is the best jambalaya ever to come out of New Orleans. It's like, are you kidding me? I'm from New Orleans. This jambalaya is okay at best. Are you out of your mind? So,
We played a show. Cowboy Mouth played a show in Dewey Beach, but we did it every summer. And the guy loved us so much, he wanted to do something nice. And so he tells us, after the show, I'm having a crawfish boil for you guys on the beach. We're like, awesome. He has boiled crawfish flown up to Dewey Beach. He puts them in a pot, and he boils them again. And so we were served hard-shelled, tasteless rubber.
Right. Double boiled with no Zatarans. He just boiled it in water. Right, he's just like...
Well, no, they boiled it properly in New Orleans, but then he just put it in a pot and boiled it again, so
right.
all the seasons...
Right, it's gone. That's what I meant. It's like, we were talking about that before, right? How in the East Coast, for some reason, they think that just boiling something in water makes it work. It's like, yeah, it actually technically cooks it, but there's no flavor. It's like, technically it's cooked. I get it.
And the double-boiled crawfish were really difficult to chew. They were
it's like
quite rubbery.
You're like, I'm gonna take a few of these. I don't have any bubble yum tonight. I'll take a few of these on stage and chew them during the show.
Yeah, really.
If only they had flavor. Can you make it taste like mint or
right.
something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. You got a new.
Well, there was an story.
It definitely was an story. So, what are you doing this week?
Practicing. That's one of the things that my teacher asked me was like, how much do you practice? And I told him, and he went, how much do you practice this other thing that you said you liked? And I told him, and he's like, sounds like you like that more.
Ooh,
and that's pretty simple, right?
Yep.
If you're not practicing the thing you love the most, then you don't love it enough.
Yeah, I've been practicing on this new thing.
Now,
he
did say on the days where the voice ain't working to walk away.
Right. Don't frustrate yourself.
Right. But those days seem to be less and less, although saying it, I've probably just sent myself into a headspace where I'll turn around and not sing again. But it's really just wonderful. I'm sort of driving Allison crazy. I'm playing and singing so much.
It won't be long before I think that we will be recording a piano solo Paul record. The whole record is going to sound like there's one light on in the room and you're just hanging out. You're going to be able to smell the smoke from a cigarette that he's not even smoking.
I like it.
You're going to be able to smell the wine. All this is going to be coming through in the recording. Like when you listen to it, all that stuff, that ambiance is going to be part of the whole damn thing. We're actually going to make a record that sounds like the cover of Sonoma Valley.
There you go.
It's going to sound like that record's cover.
Or Between Friends, you mean?
No, the one with the wine glass and Sonoma and stuff like that.
Okay, I thought you meant one with the cigarette.
Yeah, no, you're right. That one had a cigarette.
Both of them.
Yeah, let's say a combination of the two, right? And you're actually gonna feel, and that's gonna be the emotion that gets struck. And,
I like it, Mike.
And I want you to keep your piano playing simple. I don't expect you to come out and be jazz or Huey Piano Smith or nothing crazy like that. Simple. It's
very simple. There are some jazz chords there, but it's
chords
still
are
very
fine.
simple.
I mean, I don't
simply.
let's no bebop, right?
No, I couldn't be Bob if I
I
wanted to.
know. I
I've
know.
tried to play a couple of rock songs, and it's me and ballads. That's me and the piano. It's just me and ballads.
Did you see what Lou just said? We might have to take the
No.
Disney Plus subscription away so that he could practice more.
Well, I do have to say that the Disney Plus was doing the whole Marvel series and the whole Star Wars series was a commitment.
It was.
It took me, but I made most of those at late at night, so I didn't give up too much practice time for it.
Good, 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 good. And we only got 2 episodes left of Loki, but then I think Black Widow comes out this weekend, so we're in the middle of.
What's the deal with that? Is it in the movie theaters or
It'll be in
on
the
Disney
theaters
Plus?
and it'll be on Disney Plus, but it'll be $30 on Disney Plus and $10 at the
Through
movies. So
that,
make up your mind where you want to see it.
yeah.
The thing that pisses me off about that Disney Plus thing is like, you know what? If you're gonna charge me $30 for it, I better own the damn thing. You know what I mean? It's like but you don't. You get to rent it. You get like for what 3 days or whatever like that.
I'm not interested in that. If you want to go see it at a theater in the daytime when theaters are empty, I'll go
Yeah, I'll
with you.
go with you. Yeah, I think you can get matinee prices too. Did you see that people were actually buying and renting theaters for a while during
I
COVID?
wonder if I can get a senior citizen price yet.
How old are you?
61.
I think
Not
you.
yet.
Nah, maybe 65. I can't. You know what? We'll have to call and find out.
I'll take any discount I can get,
Of
man.
course, COVID. Who's been working? Nobody has
Nope.
any. Nobody has any work. Are you kidding?
Nope.
So Amy, you should DM Paul, get him your address so that he can get you out your coffee cup because you are
Yep.
a winner. We finally have a
The
winner.
winner on today's
She
late
guessed
poll.
8 minutes, and even though we were a little later than 8, we actually tried to be going on for 8 minutes late. I mean, when I hit the button, it just took YouTube a while to catch up. But when I hit the button,
So
she was
really,
right.
Mike's giving you the credit because that's what time he hit the button.
That's what time I hit the button.
That's debatable, but I didn't know that before we awarded the cup. I'm not going to take the cup back. You
Well,
know,
I'm just trying to be fair. And literally, I looked at it, I hit the button, I looked at the time, and I was like, oh crap, she was right. And then it took YouTube, like, remember, it took it like 2 or 3 minutes to go live. It was the weirdest thing.
I'm going to do it this one time, but I'm going to say that's part of the show. What
Gotcha.
time do we hit the air?
Hit the air,
Not
not the
what time do we
button.
hit the button. What time do we hit the air?
All right, so we're adding
Still
that.
gets
That's
a
the new
coffee
rule.
cup.
That's the new rule.
Still gets a coffee cup because it's a technicality,
Yes.
but it seems a proper one.
Moving forward, now we understand the rules now. So just say you're a
Yeah. So
senior citizen. Yeah, Lou says just say you're senior. They won't they won't ID you. What are you
right? Who's
trying to say,
asking?
Lou? Are you trying to say he looks like a senior citizen?
Yeah, it's worth a try. What the
Isn't
fuck?
that funny? When you were
Um,
young, you were trying to get, you didn't want to get carded. Now, as an old person, you don't want to get carded. It's crazy. It's like I hope I don't get carded so I can get that discount.
so I'm
Anyway,
hoping on Wednesday that our guest will be my jazz singing friend Carmela Rapasso. She's from New York. She's lived and played in California, and she and her husband Mark Carroll have settled here in the last like 6 years.
oh, I know Mark
And
Howell.
Mark's great. He's a
Yeah.
great player and a great guy, a great carpenter. And Carmela is a wonderful singer. She's got a new record out with the brilliant Oscar Rossignoli on piano, who plays with John Boutte and who's just a rising star. And they covered my song "Empty Chair"
Oh, nice.
and did a really beautiful, classic sounding jazz version of it. I'm so pleased. So she doesn't normally wake up as early as our show, but I'm
Hmm.
gonna see if I can convince her to wake up early enough to be a guest.
Nice. Well, I mean, if she just wants to call in at 9:30, we can make it work. I'm sure.
That's even still before she's had coffee
Uh,
on a normal day. But we could
the
we can
show is
make
about
exceptions.
having your cup of coffee with us. So
That's true. We'll see. I haven't asked her yet, but Mark thinks she'll do it.
gotcha. And then I was thinking, I mean, we could always pull Chopper uh, up. He
We
wants to
should
do it.
definitely have Chopper on sometime. I
He said he
want.
wants to do it. So, and he's got
All
tons
right.
of old stories as well. He could be fun to have on.
Yeah, he told me one of the best Neville Brothers stories ever. He said that he was the sound man, and they had a manager who was British, and he's looking at their schedule, and he goes, "They're scheduled to eat an hour before the show. Nobody eats an hour before the show. The meal should be after the show." And Chopper goes, "Well, not for them. They're from New Orleans. They like to eat." And the guy goes, "No, no, that's not efficient. We'll have it moved to after the show." So he said they'd play like 3 or 4 shows, and the band just wasn't feeling it. They weren't funky, they were kind of grouchy. He said the tour manager came to him. He goes, the band seems out of sorts. Is there something I'm doing? He goes, yeah, you're not feeding them before the show, man. They're from New Orleans. They got to go on stage fat and happy if you want them to be funky.
Right. If not, they're just looking at the clock, man. They're hungry. They want to go and
Wait and eat, man. They're hungry.
Right. How can we drink? How can we even have a drink? If you don't have anything in your
Right.
stomach, you can't even drink.
Yeah, I'd love to have her on.
Yes,
We'll work
Amy,
that out.
we'll get you those pics so we can start the coffee cup thing. You know, you sent me her email, and I haven't checked my email since you sent it, so I have to go through. I'll go find her, the email from you, and, you
She
know.
can DM you her email here.
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, yes. Well, if you want, maybe what I'll do is I'll send you it, and you can just, when y'all contact each
That's
other for the
fine.
other thing, you can just forward it to me.
Great. Great. Perfect.
And it's going to be the
All right.
little, you know, the little fancy little cup thing. We'll try that. So, yeah, looks like
Okay,
we
so
did
we'll
another
see
show.
you. Yeah, we finished off another show. How about that?
How about that?
And then Wednesday we'll have a guest.
We'll
We
have
don't
a
know who
guest.
yet.
We don't know who
It'll be
yet.
fun.
Yeah. I won't reach out to
Yeah,
Chopper yet until you find out about Mark's,
Carmela.
yeah, Carmela,
All right. I'll call when she wakes up, which is not yet.
which is not yet, which is not quite yet. But thank you
All
guys
right,
for
bud.
joining us again this morning. I
Yeah,
hope you
for
guys all
tuning
had a
in.
great Fourth, and we will we'll see you then. Hey, you want to play some? There you go. Play some music on the way out this time. That's what we'll do. Play a little song for them.
All right. Don't be sure we won't walk away. We've done it before. Close the door. Don't be sure. Don't decide. You can hide. Delicate eyes with innocent eyes. Don't be sure.
Nice, nicely done. See,
Coming
you guys,
along.
it's going to be a beautiful thing. And now for our outro music. See you guys. Oh, look, we got some Lovitz already. We got some Lovitz.
Nice.
Well, I used to keep my money in a cookie jar. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, I'm staring at her shoulder, but it's not what I see when I hear two fellas fighting in the booth across from me. So I wipe away the ashes from an empty counter seat, and I wished I wasn't homesick, I wish I was asleep. Well, I hold her like a blanket up against my chin, and I need her like I need another pack of chewing gum. Well, we used to be like that, but now we're like this all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.